So I'll just start introducing while you try to figure that out. Oh, it's already there. Okay. So welcome everybody to demonstration sessions, everybody in person and online. We have 3 demonstrations and we will start with, let me see the program. We will start with Thibaut Roger. I hope I'm saying it right. He will talk about stop drafting mere illustrations, craft stories, and learn to make your own beginner exoplanet. So Thibaut, you have 20 minutes. I will tell you when there are 5 minutes to finish, okay? The floor is yours.
Okay, but I do need to be able to share my screen, and for now...
You are already sharing. We are seeing your screen. We are seeing your screen.
I mean, the slides are not my screen.
Oh, this is not...
This is the slides I uploaded, but that's not my screen.
Yes, but it's going to be these slides, and you need to tell the line person, you need to tell us when to change.
Okay.
You're not changing. Who is changing? The slides should be okay.
So I can change the slides, but as I say, I need to be able to share my screen to do the demonstration part.
Okay. So we need to sort it out with the. Let me talk with the online share to see how to do that. Okay, 1 minute.
Planets, for instance, so this was more like a comparative view. I've also had some of those like focused details with Haitian worlds, so which are worlds with like a primary hydrogen helium atmosphere. Brown dwarf stuff here you can see an interior of planets. So this was focusing on the fact that planets can be like fully molten and have like hemispheric things, hemispheric tectonic regimes. This is X-ray aurora on Mercury. So how do you show X-ray? Well, you cannot show X-ray. You have to translate it to something visible. That's why it's purple, because it's the closest color in the spectrum. Or I've done also a few infographics. So it's very different work. And I just want to go really focus on the illustration and want to explain a little bit the workflow of an illustration. So first of all, when you craft an illustration, you should have absolutely all the possible information you can in it. That might be the difference between if you hire like a graphic designer not specialized in science illustration and someone like myself who is a scientist first and foremost, and then went to communication and did illustration as part of it, is that they might not be able to put all the information. And for that, you really need to understand the physics. So for instance, if I have those 2 illustrations, you will tell me, well, it's the same stuff, except one as a red star and one as a blue star. For the common public, might be the same thing, but for a scientist, it's very different. Like a red star means it's a very small star, an M dwarf or something like this, maybe a late K. But for the blue star, it means it's a very big star. And if the planet sees a star from the same dimension, it means also in the case on the right, the star is much further away from the planet. So it carries information. Its details cannot be random. You can put randomness, but in the stuff we don't know yet. If you are illustrating a press release, like a paper published by scientists, you need to try to implement everything you can. The second point is that you need to stay scientifically accurate. So, for instance, if I take those 2 examples here, the one on the right is correct because the light is coming from the star, so it's illuminating here. The one on the left is completely incorrect because the light is not at the right side. That's a very basic physics example, but it also goes with more intricate details. For example, you would not avoid having a green star. Even though it's a maximum of emission of the sun, the apparent star color would usually not be green. One other key point when doing an illustration is that you need to balance the aesthetic and the scientific accuracy. And that's something very difficult to do. In particular, I feel scientists, because when I do an illustration, I always do it in collaboration with the scientist. So I I always discuss with the scientists what they want, what they think for colors, also based, for example, on chemicals that have been detected on the exoplanet atmospheres, these kind of things, and also what should we expect in terms of shapes or all these kind of things. But they tend to sometimes really want to focus way too much on the scientific accuracy and lose the aesthetics, and then you lose the impact of the image, or you reduce the impact of the image. And so, for instance, there is something fishy going on with the slides. For instance, here you have the same illustration. This one on the right is technically more scientifically accurate. The one on the left, we see more of the planet, so it would be less accurate scientifically. But you could argue that actually aesthetically it's more interesting because we see more of the planet, so it will appeal more to the public. And then you need to find the right balance between the two and discuss with people. So I also find my illustration have been more impactful in 4 cases, I would say. Well, first there is aesthetic versus scientific accuracy. So, for instance, in this case here, you have this was to find a trace of an exo-IO. So you have the star, the exoplanet, which is like a Jupiter, and then you have a moon around it, which has jets and so on. And it's honestly one of my least favorite illustration I've done. One of the reason is also that we have this yellow cloud, which is for the sulfur which has been detected, and then it's taking most of the illustration, and I think this is really not balanced. The author, first author of the paper, was really insistent that there should be bits of clouds everywhere, and I think in the end we lost. I didn't fight enough to remove them, and I think in the end we lost some of the impact because the image was not balanced from that point of view. The second criteria is time, and the third one is having a unique take on there is something weird going on with my slide, having a unique take on an illustration. For instance, this is the Mars magma ocean. So Mars was thought to not have any magma ocean around the core, but latest measurement from one of the probe showed that there is a very thin one. And so I decided, instead of doing like the normal cut, the slice, I decided to do a conical cut towards the interior of Mars. And so we have this kind of eyeball effect where you have the core, then the very thin magma ocean, then the mantle, and then the crust. And I think this illustration had a great impact because of this unique take on how to cut in the planet instead of doing the usual like quarter of a sphere cut into it. That's another example. This is a system of 6 exoplanets, all in resonances, and we scratched a bit our head on how to show resonances, and then we went to this pattern where basically the lines, so each color is for a couple of 2 planets. So purple, for example, would be the first one, and the second one, you trace their relative position with those lines across along one orbit, and then you end up with those specific patterns which depend on the resonances between the planets. So if you have a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 resonance, you will not have the same pattern, and then we put them and call this the vaults of the exoplanet. Actually, a lot of people told me like it looks more like a dream catcher, which is true. But I think this illustration, I have a lot of requests to get it as stickers and so on, and I think it's really like this unique take that make it it's more abstract, but that make it really appealing to the public. And the last point is to embed a story. So for this, I will do a live demonstration to show you what I mean, and hopefully it will work because it will be a very short time, less than 10 minutes now. And let's switch to Photoshop if you see my screen now. So to start the illustration, of course, you need your black background and you need to have some stars. So one way you can do it is to just make some specific brush, and you can see here when I brush, it's putting randomly everywhere some stars. So it is very important that you don't see any kind of pattern. And actually, if I just do like a bit, you can see this kind of square pattern. So it will not look well. So that's why I will need to go several times. I should also change the size of my brush to have different size of stars. And little by little, it becomes more realistic. I did we will just put like a tiny bit of stars for now, pre-made one. And to do this kind of brush, it's actually very simple. It's just that I'm telling, okay, I want this size, I want this spacing. You can see here live how the brush would look like. I want this spacing between the different elements. I want some shape dynamics, like some change of size or roundness. You can see it as like a effect when I change this. You have a ton like scattering. I can multiply the count of stars, the amount of how much the count go from one. Basically, you have like each dot is a paintbrush being applied once, but randomly in different directions. So that will be a very useful tool for me when I do illustration. And then we can finally start to do our planets. So we can just start by doing like a circle. Let's say we want our planet here. We do a big circle, and I prepared also some slides. Let's do maybe blue as our base color. We want something like a terrestrial planet. Where is my pen pot? Here. Okay, so we have a blue planet. We want, however, some continents. And here, what I will do is that I will go and usually take textures. So I will try to find some nice textures. You can see like a bunch of textures. Some of them are pictures I took. Some of them are from different things, from online search and so on. And for example, let's take this image, and we will already have some texture for our ocean first. We can change the type of layers. So then we have a different we have our texture still, but not applied the same way to what is already there. And then, as I was saying, let's get some continents. So let's find maybe like this rust picture. I like rust pictures. They are usually quite nice for having like a land mass. And so you can apply it. For now, it's taking the whole thing. But what I will do here is that I will take, for example, moss texture like this one. I will also put it, and because all continents shouldn't be everywhere, and I will do a selection. So you can with this tool, I can select a color, and then I will select just the green. So you can see it made a very weird selection. And now I will use this selection and apply it. So I'll go to layer, put a layer mask, and only reveal the selection. And now we have only the part which was selected with the green that is appearing from the texture we had before. So, oops, sorry. If I remove, you can see that was a texture. And if I apply this mask, now only those bits are appearing. It's not quite enough, so I will actually remove this, and I think I will try to do another selection so we have a bit more. So for this, I can increase this value here. Okay, I think that should be better. Now let's do it again. Oh, now we didn't remove enough actually. So it's always a bit of a hassle to find the good tuning. Let's try again. Okay, so now it's a tiny bit better. We can start to see the landmass. And by using this texture, and I'm not doing, I could trace by N, for example, like this. I will just put a normal brush, and I could trace by end where I want my continent. But then, I mean, if I zoom in, you can see the coastline is really not nice. So I can, of course, go with smaller things, try to be random, but you will always feel the difference between something purely random and something done by hand trying to be random. So now I can still go and color the interior to have bigger continent landmass, but you can see really here we have some kind of archipelago and so on, which is quite nice. You can also use, the goal is to use more texture. For example, that was another example. I took this picture at the last conference where I was at. It was like an electric tab or something like that, and there was this paint that came off, and if I just take the gray part and I apply this gray part, I just color this gray part on our landmass, should appear. Yes, exactly. So here you can see you have already like a continent done very quickly with a nice edge line, very random, very difficult to do by hand. And one last texture I will try to put is just this mango peel. So this mango part, which Samia sent me by email just before. I don't know where I find the mango actually, I guess during lunch. And then we can try to apply just the texture of the mango. So for this, I can play with different things, or maybe I should put it underneath and actually put it as my base. And it's this layer that I will change how it interacts. And you can see, I mean, it's a bit of a trial and error. So we can try to find some stuff. I've never tried with the mango, so you can see I'm redoing it live, trying to see something. So if we would want a planet with purple, that would be working very fine. Yeah, it's not very useful. I mean, of course, I would need to, that could work nicely, but then we would need to also apply this mask. And let's, where is it? Here. And then we have some yellow continents. So yes, you can do different things to have this and that. So that was just to explain you a little bit the process. This thing that I just did, I did also with the public, and some of the results are here. So this is one of them. So here you have this planet, which is just textures. This will take 15 minutes with the public. This is another one done with the public live with them, and this was more like a Jupiter-like, and also, so including this texture is something I mean by crafting the story, because then you have the story of how you make the illustration, which is embedded, and even if people don't know it, usually that's the illustration who has the most impact. It can also be like stories on a geological sense. If I take this illustration, the land planet is one of my favorite illustration, one that usually people tell are their favorite, and I crafted it exactly this way. But you can also see, for example, for the crater here, the crater is filled with water because it makes like a lake, and then you have tiny, I'm not sure if you can see them with the screen sharing, tiny river going to a lake and more river and so on. So there is really like a geological story embedded in the planet. It's not just like putting random continents here and there. I really try to think, okay, this looks more like a mountain range, so when I put my ocean after, I should not have like water on that part. I should erase it where there is a mountain and so on. Similarly, when I did this illustration where it was the goal of showing greenhouse gases that to terraform a planet could be detected as technosignatures of alien civilization. So we started from a frozen planet, and then gradually we go to a temperate planet because it's terraformed with greenhouse gases. And you can see that first, at the second stage, the liquid water is only around the equator. So there is really this story trying to be scientifically accurate, and you can also see it pulls in the crater and this area. And then it flows further and further, and then you can also see on the last stage that we see the light from the civilization, and just like on Earth, it tends to be towards the coastline and not anywhere. So that's basically what I say by stories. You need to really make sure you have all the details scientifically accurate. You can take aesthetic liberties in the stuff that is not known, but also you should really try to think, not do the stuff completely randomly, but try to think what is plausible, what is physical, and similarly include texture from the real world to really give this sense of realism. Okay, thank you for your attention, and I'm free for question if we have time, but I'm not sure we have.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Oh, yes, you can hear me. Yes, sorry, because I tried to talk with you early, but it was not possible because you could have some more minutes if you want, but maybe we open for questions. Thank you for your nice demonstration. You make it look easy to do, right? But
I mean, so
it's not.
yeah. I try to show you in 15 minutes what usually take me a few hours. So what I just showed you is basically the process, except to make it, that's something I forgot to mention, to make it good, then you need to do like layers and layers and layers and layers. So what really works is to add layers and add complexity. You can do something very fine, like those example I showed in 15 minutes, they are already nice looking. But to get something really to the next level, you need to add layers, add some stuff here and there, and really break the uniformity across the planet in this case, but it can be like a nebula or anything. So adding layers is the key of things and adding complexity, which sometimes erase some of the stuff you have done before, but that's part of the process, that sometimes one little detail I had added will go away, but I'm fine with it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think there are some questions online. I hope Kirobel can ask them. Kirobel, can you hear me? Let's see if he can go on stage. Yes.
Okay. So we have a question from Leonardo. It's concerning the tension between aesthetic and accuracy. Would you point out somewhere, example, through notes or captions, about the inaccuracies? Example, false colors. Did you get that? Can you hear me?
Okay, I don't hear any questions.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can refresh, but I think I will need to reconnect and so on, so it will take a bit. No, okay, it worked.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now.
Wonderful. I'll read the question once more. Concerning the tension between aesthetic and accuracy, would you point out somewhere, for instance, through notes or captions, about the inaccuracies? Example, false colors.
Yeah, so as I said, inaccuracy. So at least when I do illustration, I try to be the most correct as possible from what we know. The aesthetic liberty is really in what we don't know that I try to take it. So for instance, if we find I'll take the exoplanet example again, what I showed. If we find an exoplanet, we will know the diameter, we might know what is in the atmosphere in terms of chemicals, but we have no clue about the landmass distribution at the surface. And that's really where you can take a lot of aesthetical liberties to really only have to make it look like as you want, and that you can also discuss with the people. Then there is the aesthetic side of stuff that is accurate, and that's much more difficult to balance, much more difficult to also you really need to discuss with the scientist what they like, what they want. And also you should not be afraid of discussing with the scientist and telling them, in my experience, trust me, this doesn't look good, we need to tune down a bit, for example, the cloud, so it looks better, so it's more appealing to the public, because in the end, the goal is to help bring the public to the press release, for instance. It's not necessarily to be 100% accurate, because we will never be, because there is a lot of uncertainty. So the goal is really to bring the people to read the article, and for this, sometimes you need to forget one of the physical aspects. So you should really not be afraid to chat with the scientists, tell them, like, explain them, okay, we try to do as much physically plausible as possible, but let's tune down a bit and do something a bit more aesthetic to really grab more the attention of the people. Which also doesn't prevent you to do a second version for them for conferences also, if you have time, of course. So yeah, so the more time you have, the more you can do layers, and also the more it can be looking good. Yeah.
Wonderful. I've got another question from Daria. If there are any free alternative softwares besides Photoshop to do these activities?
Yes, so I use Photoshop. I've been using Photoshop for 20 years personally. I know some people don't like it. In the free alternative, you have a bunch. You do have GIMP, for instance. You have others also. But check maybe with your university if you don't have a Adobe license with them, because in my case, the University of Bern has a license for everyone, so we can use it. I do have my own license because I use it also as a freelance, but universities, at least in Switzerland here, most half of them, they do have licenses for Photoshop and Adobe product in general. GIMP is an alternative. In terms of other things, you can find a bunch on also directly on tablets, so Android tablets or iPad. Um, some of them are Adobe and they can be very interesting to have more of like a watercolor feeling. It's really incredible what you can do now with those tablet instead of a computer. So depending the style you want, you might also have a look into this.
Yeah, and I also want to add Affinity by Canva. It's also free. It has both Photoshop and illustration capabilities. So yeah.
Yeah.
If there are any questions from the stage as well, I don't see any. Okay, there's one more question by Leonardo again concerning. Sorry, so it's from Ahmed. In case of illustration for the same object, but you want to show it with different wavelengths, how would you craft it?
Different wavelengths. It's a problem I never had, and actually that's something I quite like. Is, once you have done the same type of illustration, you fall in a routine. I don't think it's good. So I like to get challenged with new things. I've never had to do in different wavelengths, but I would say, um, so you can put like color layers. I would maybe even start in black and white to try to do the exoplanet in black and white, for instance, and then try to do it, just apply some color filters on top of it. And actually, maybe one of the other possibility I'm trying to think is to do the illustration normally, but on illustration software you have actually your R, G, and B layers. It's a bit more advanced. You need to dig a bit to access them, but you could think of removing, for example, the blue layers to show the only one color, remove the red one to show another color, like if it would be your color filter wheel on your spacecraft, and then show the one with R, G, and B on top of each other to have the real color one, which you did at the beginning. So maybe it would be a backward process that you do normally, and then you apply color filters, or you remove some of your color channels in your illustration. I hope that answers your question. And if it was a bit complicated, the explanation, you can email me. I can give you more detail with screenshots and so on.
Wonderful. I don't see any other questions from the chat. Joanna, after you.
No? No
Thank you very
question?
much for your attention, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Thibaut. Let's thank our speaker. Yeah.
Thank you.
And let's move to the next one. And I'm letting it run a little because it's the last one. The last demonstration was canceled. So we only have these two. So we have a little bit more of time. Hello, Ola. So you can do your 20 minutes. If you want, you can do 25. Ola is from Egypt. She will talk about crafting the cosmos, teaching astronomy to art and play in unserved communities. The stage is yours, Ola.
Hello, everyone. As you hear, I'm Ola Ali from Egypt, assistant researcher at the Astronomy Department, National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics. This presentation, I'll talk about how we teach astronomy in underserved areas in Egypt through art and playing. Um, okay, 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. I am not seeing the screen.
So there's a controller on the bottom. You can change your slides to the next.
Okay,
We can
I
see your
changed it,
screen.
but it's okay. I think I figured it. Okay, sorry for that.
Wonderful.
Okay, how all this started, I became focusing on kids in remote area. It all started from Nariaj, my institute. It's already doing a lot of community service for everyone, but I was more focused on kids, and I get more opportunity when I was a member of the OAE Center of Egypt, also one of the NOC team here. I start more focusing on these kids, and after that, from now, I find a seed grant that was dedicated to educate girls in remote area. I get this fund and I used it with Art Narti Festival. It's a festival here in Egypt, art festival. In the last 2 years, they start to include science like astronomy, math, and other sciences. Um, this was my first time to teach astronomy through art. I was teaching astronomy to the kids, to the public, to university students, but never used art to teach it. So these organizations started this one. Okay, why astronomy in Egypt feels this distance? Actually, in remote areas in Egypt, science overall is not something reachable. You won't find science except in curriculum in these areas, and the students just take it as something they have to do the exam and just forget about it. And in some other areas, they don't even have access to any equipment that they can introduce them to science in a proper way. We get the chance to go there and start introducing astronomy in a very nice and creative way. As I said, due to lack of science access material, astronomy also, especially astronomy, is very mixed with astrology. And to talk with someone about astronomy, for the first, he will just think you are talking about astrology. So we need to make this clear, and this will start with the kids. We took everything with us and we try to create some sustainability material they can use from their environment. Why art especially? Art makes things smooth, and for the kids, If I just go and told them, I'll teach you about astronomy or about science, they will get intimidated and they will start to think this is a big and very difficult subject. But through art, it will be a very easy thing to deal with. We started from Siwa. Siwa is an oasis in Egypt. Um, it's near the Egypt-Libya border. It takes around 10 to 12 hours traveling by car from Cairo. We went there twice in 2024 and 2025. We started to get them to be science through their environment. When we first arrive, we start to becoming familiar with the environment they are living in, they are playing where. Actually, this place is a public library with a lot of activities. The kids spend most of the time there because it's in front of their school, and their parents will be okay if they spend time there. The places, like you see, it's sand, palm trees, and this is the environment they are working in. Playing in. So we start to craft the activities to accommodate this environment. Okay, here we start to get them familiar with the telescope. For them, this is the first time to hear about telescope or to see a telescope. At first, I show them what is the telescope is looking like and how it work in a very very simple way. But after that, to get them to be more familiar with it, I I choose a distance palm tree, and they are hanging some material or devices along these palm trees, and sometimes the kids themselves are hanging them. I choose one far away we couldn't see by our naked eye, and I started to get them around me and around the telescope. Okay, let's see from the telescope and try to figure what is this. And they was super impressed because it's what the devices that they put on the palm tree, they are seeing it very clear from the telescope. It become very easy for them to understand the concept of how the telescope working. So when we have the night session in the evening with the moon, it was very easy. They weren't afraid of the telescope or how to look at it. It was an easy process. Uh, oops. Sorry, I think there something with these two photos. These photos were also something from their environment. Um, we start, as I said, the whole place there is sand, and we decided to teach them about the craters of the moon. We asked them to gather different kind of rocks from the place and start to throwing them with different force, with different directions, and to observe how the sand will affected by these rocks. This was one of the photos that I hope you can saw it, and the problem only with me. The other one supposed to be also for how the shadow, the sun and the shadow works. In the morning when they arrive, we would mark a place with each two pairs of the kids, mark each other's shadow in the sand, and they come after an hour and mark it again and start to draw the path of the shadow throughout the day. Actually, we would spend from 9 to 5 there, so they can observe this process all over the day. Not only this, but also some other activities that need just drawing and some craft work. This one, I think I can upload it on Google Drive. It's on the presentation and also here. We can just color it, the sun, the earth, the moon, and start connecting them together like this one with a pen, a butterfly pen that have two wings that allow me to rotate the earth around the sun, and in the same time I can rotate the moon around the earth. This activity makes them imagine and for them it's very easy and sorry, do you hear me? It said I reconnected. Hello.
We lost you for a second, but you are back.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, as I said, another activity that gets them closer to the sun, earth, moon movement and how the day and the night, how we get the day and the night, and also how we get the seasons. All these, I deliver all the information, the scientific information, after we play, after we color, after we craft, because they already did something with their hands, with their imagination, so the information then will be very easy for them. This is another one. It's for coloring the solar system. It's also to use how we can already merge the colors to get the color of each planet. So I need to know why scientifically each planet have a certain color. And this also is a very nice activity. Sorry. After that, we will take another city, Aswan. In Aswan, astronomy not only an observation like in Siwa, but it's a heritage. In Aswan, it's a tourism city. They have the orthogonality over the Abu Simbel temple, and the kids twice each year know about that there is orthogonality of the sun on Ramses status at the temple of Abu Simbel, but they don't know this is astronomical phenomena. So I start to show them how their heritage is very related to astronomy. This is the photo for Abu Simbel temple, and this is where we is the left photo is where we conduct our activities in Aswan. It's in Western Sohail Island. It's a remote island in Aswan, and the other photo is for one of the kids at one of the temples in Aswan. We have live sessions there. One of the very creative activities I like to do with kids is this one, create their own constellations. All I get is a paper with some stars like this, and I start to ask the kids to connect them or draw around them to get um, any shape they want. When I first deliver this session, I start to guide the kids. Okay, this might be like a flower, or this might be a heart. And after the session, I discovered that the 12 kids with me, uh, half of them draw a flower, and the other, sorry, the other half draw a heart. And I was very frustrated for sure. And from the second session, the artist with me encouraged me not to guide the kids at any way, just to tell them connect or draw around these dots whatever you imagine, whatever you want. And starting from the second session, I start to get a very beautiful shapes. I'll show you some photos, and this is live ones. This one, like a cat, ordinary creatures around us. But sometimes we get things like this imaginary creature. It's maybe a dinosaur. And this one. They start to connect, write their names, and write the name of the shapes they create. This method is very effective because when we get our night session, uh, before I start to tell them which constellation is in the sky, they start to create their own constellations. Okay, this stars will be a constellation of the dog. They imagine a dog and they found it. So when I start to uh, giving them some scientific information like how we can use these constellations to get the directions, it became very easy for their imagination to find them. These are some of the photos from the exhibition. We held an exhibition in the last day of the festival each year with all their drawings and their artifacts. Not only uh, things like this, but also fashion. And fashion to be included in the art festival, it was to connect the community with the science, with the art. Because in Aswan, most of the kids and girls in the summer vacation, they work with their parents because this, as I said, tourist place. And the girls maybe making clothes or design or sewing. So we introduced astronomy through the fashion session, and all the clothes that the girls are wearing in these photos are designed, sewed, and presented by them. So we create some sort of um, a compilation of all of these. It's like they will work in the summer, they have information about astronomy, and they will do it in a very creative way. Other activity, also an artist there helping me with it, is this one. These are two different kind of uh, papers. This is planets with Arabic writing, of course. They have to color them and start to cutting it and adding them to this one as a background to create the 9 planets, the 8 planets at the end. From these activities, we learn that in these underserved communities, curiosity come before complexity, because the kids very curious to know about everything. They observe, they have a great imagination, and because they're cultural, they get the information quickly before even I said the terminology for it. Also, they start to know about everything just from practice, not from mesmerizations. Why we choose art and get it, get a focus on it, because art reduces the fear of science. The kids will be afraid of the terminology of the subject itself, but with art, everything will go very smooth. It allows them to communicate with their emotions through the art and the science. Like these photos, this was part of accessories, and it all created by the kids from their imagination after we had a session about the planet. Also, it's a very low cost. Like this one, we just have hard paper. Hard paper and cut it into small boxes and start to draw and color, and then we sew them with some beads to make some accessories. Finally, these communities just teach me that when the children began to see astronomy in their own stories, landscapes, skies, science stop feeling distant and start become theirs. Some of them, for the second year, start to um, telling astronomy information to their younger kids who come to the first time, and this was one of the best um, advantages of these activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really interesting and really remind us how far we can go with simple things and the things that are around us, right? If we focus and we start from there. Thank you. I don't know if there are some questions on that, Kira?
There are a couple of questions online.
Okay.
So from Leonard, before your activities, did the children that you met recognize the night sky as a familiar object?
Yes, it's like when I talked about meteoroids and start to explain what it is, they said that they observe it a lot and they sometimes have spotted the green one or more than one in
Ola, can you hear us?
for them. But yes, they are familiar with the night sky, but not familiar with the scientific background.
You have more questions, Kiruba?
No questions on the chat so far.
Here, there are some questions here. One question, yes?
Oh yeah, there's one more question on the chat as well. Can you elaborate more on your section about the tactile approach? I'm interested to know the methods and how it can be used to communicate astronomy to the blind and visually impaired?
We are starting in this area. We just had 2 events last year. We reaching them through some clay and
Ola?
I think her connection dropped.
Yeah.
as I said, I am just starting on it, so I can share. Yeah, I can share what we have done in these 2 events.
Ola, we lost you for a bit, so can you answer the question again? Sorry.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay, for this we only had 2 events last year for visually impaired people, and we used clay and puzzles that have some shapes, so they can feel it at first, and after that, they can make the shape into the clay. Um, um,
Same point. Exactly in the same point.
I mean, we still have more time, so if she can return back.
Yeah, she oh. Let's see if she can return.
I'm waiting if she returns back. I'll put her on. If there are any questions in the audience so far, though, are there?
Yes,
You can
there's
queue them
one.
up.
There's one.
Okay,
There's one.
perfect.
There's one. Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's
So
see
we
if
wait
she
for her.
returns.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's better. Kiruvel?
Yes.
Is she entering or not?
No, not yet. I'm waiting on the stage, but I don't see her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so maybe let's finish. There was a question here, but they can talk directly.
Oh, yes, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's thank Ola at a distance. Thank you for being here. And yeah, the session ends because the last one was canceled, so we are going to be the first ones to get to the coffee. So see you around.
I think Ola is back. Hi. We lost you for a bit.
Oh yes.
Can
So
you
we
hear
have.
us?
Can you hear us, Ola? She's on the phone, I think.
She is unmuted. I mean,
Yeah.
Ola, can you hear us?
We can see you, but we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Can you message her, Kirubel, on the platform? Oh.
I think I did. Can you hear us? Okay. Cynthia is saying, I think. Oh, okay. Can you hear us, Ola?
Yeah, so sorry for that.
Okay.
Yes, first, did you hear the answer for the question?
I think it cut pretty much at the same place, so we did not get the whole answer.
Okay. Okay, we had only 2 events for embarrassed people, and we used the puzzles with some shapes that they can feel it, and after that they can reproduce what and some other stuff. I can share with you these activities. It wasn't presented here because we are in the start of this process. I'll send you my email, and we'll send you all the information we have.
Perfect. I think there's one more question from the stage.
Okay.
Hello, Ola. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My name is Hiroaki Sobe. I'm from Japan. I am an astrophysicist, mainly working on solar physics, but I also work in art university, teaching natural sciences to the art and design students. So I was pretty impressed in your talk, and particularly when you say you use art not to make astronomy entertaining, but you use art as a language by
Yes.
which the students and children can express themselves. So my question is this. So when you ask these children to make drawing or paper craft, do you encourage them to freely express themselves, their wonder or excitement? Or do you expect them to reflect some scientific fact when they make drawing and paper craft, so that they can also learn from making artworks?
Yeah, we do both of them because in each session I'll be there with an artist with me. She or he will be responsible about all the artwork, and I'll be responsible about the science work, and we both have to not divide them. It's just we have to understand. Uh, at first, me and the other artists, we sit and talk about this session, what we will do, what we expect from the kids, and after that we start to work with them. I learned a lot during these 2 years, from 2024 till now. I am not an art person myself, so it was a whole new experience for me. And I think I yes, we do both of them, the scientific and the artwork.
Right. So you also work with artists. That's
Yeah.
very nice. Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ola. I think there's more questions. Any question? No? Yeah, so let's thank Ola properly now. Thank you, very interesting. The session ends here, and yeah, now let's go for coffee. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye all. Thank you.
Bye bye.